Welcome to Nerd Wars, where we solemnly celebrate the death of the MCU. We have a moment of silence for a fart noise sound effect. That's right, I'm doing reviews now, and I'm doing box office numbers videos. My nerds needed the cavalry charge. They needed some fresh blood to go see this garbage and ruin their mental, so that all of you lovely folks don't have to go see it. So I went to see The Marvels. And my nerds thought it was going to perform bad. But similar to The Flash, I had this feeling it was going to perform even worse than they were expecting. Also thought Five Nights at Freddy's was going to be a lot more successful. So my intuition's doing pretty decent so far. Aquaman 2? We will be eventually celebrating the death of the DCEU. But just how bad was it? My nerds were expecting $200, maybe $300 million loss for Marvel and Disney. If only. If only. This Marvel's budget is probably going to exceed $300 million. Probably all the floating cats and race and gender swapping. It's not looking to be $200 to $300 million loss. It's looking to be more like $500 million. If you didn't know, somehow Captain Marvel made over $1 billion because they squeezed it between the Avengers movies. We'd had rumblings, but Captain Marvel really was the official start of the MCU. And now we have the Marvels signaling the death of the MCU. A moment of silence for a fart sound effect. So here's lots of numbers. I used to not understand these numbers, but I've been following enough people long enough that I actually understand these numbers half decent now. To the point when I saw them, I laughed. It was like a lol situation. Like I probably would have gotten a warning for spamming. But the budget somehow of like 300 million plus, they had to have been hitting like 700, 800 million to be breaking even. Who knows how much marketing went into it? They did lots of reshoots. They kept delaying it, so marketing just kept lasting forever and ever. Not that it helped. Thankfully, the actresses couldn't talk because of the strikes. That definitely saved them some money. So what's it gonna make? 600 million? We don't even know if it's gonna hit 200 million. And it's gonna need to at least hit like the 700 million. That's $500 million. $500 million. Gosh, you're a minus 500 million. Oh my God. Five Nights at Freddy's probably made its budget back on the early screenings and like the first like afternoon showings on Friday. And the Marvels is gonna lose $500 million. Don't worry though, it's not the director's fault. We'll be getting to that. So we're estimated about 65 million domestic after the 2 weekends. With international, we're looking at 161 million. This thing might not hit 200 million. And just the budget is 300 million plus. And then Sony announced the Madam Web trailer like right after. Are you retarded? So on F&T, they joked that the Friday to Friday number could drop 90%. And they're like, that's impossible. 90% is impossible. 87% drop on the Fridays. It didn't even hit $3 million on its second Friday. I'm not super big into these numbers, but I know that is insane. That's bad. That's bad. And that's an 87% drop on what was already a super weak opening. The coping and the seething. Whew. How could this have failed? The Marvel's producer explains how Tessa Thompson's sweet Valkyrie cameo came together. Possibly the worst moment in the entire movie. That or the couple times Carol and Dar-Benn talked to each other. Valkyrie's hair was horrible. Her accent or whatever the hell she was doing was atrocious. She made Dar-Benn seem like an Oscar-winning actress. She made Brie Larson seem like an Oscar-winning actress by comparison. She came in on a rainbow and kissed Carol on the cheek. She's literally just there just to get rid of the scroll, the evil like Yahtzees, send them to South America, hide them in Antarctica, and also just Tessa Thompson's the worst. I have plenty of other things, but really just ultimately boils down to that. Sweet Valkyrie cameo came together. I mean King Valkyrie? Marvel producer on future of LGBTQ representation in the MCU. This was from July 2021. Oh, and they got Valkyrie here. Didn't work out too well, did it? The Marvels could be a box office flop, but it's not needed to cost us fault. Some hard copium movie web, whatever the that is. The film faced numerous challenges and negative narratives before its release, such as what to call the nega bans. DaCosta had limited creative control as a director working on a Marvel film. Oh yeah, like all of the directors on a Marvel film. I wonder why they're so bad. The final decisions ultimately came down to Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios. Are you taking Kevin Feige? Alt-right, they went down the pipeline. Gary, did you do this to them? Despite the film's low opening weekend numbers, DaCosta achieved a significant milestone as the biggest debut for a black female director in history. The first black female director in history to get a 87% drop Friday to Friday. Which should be celebrated. Oh, you probably don't believe me. You probably think I just made this up. Which should be celebrated. The industry should recognize her accomplishments rather than solely focusing on the film's performance. 87% drop on what was already a horrible opening. The industry should recognize her accomplishments. She literally quit before it was finished and went to go work on another movie. How do you think the people working on that movie feel right now? You think they're feeling optimistic about how their movie's gonna perform? But do you think they're celebrating and recognizing her accomplishments? Or do you think they're scared shitless? It gets especially tricky when the director happens to be female. Are you a biologist? Let alone a female of color. Cue the Brie Larson clip.
And if you're a woman of color, then it's really, really hard.
What I'm hearing is it failed because of misogynoir. Man, I tried to say this the other day. I eventually got it. Misogynoir. There we go. Female directors are rarely handed the keys to drive a big tentpole release. 87% drop. I wonder why. Too woke. Woke. The strike. The strike killed all the promotion. Nah, that helped. Oh no, the Marvel expose. Are you talking about the Variety? Yup. Throw him in jail with the J6ers. Some fans deemed to dance gleefully on the film's grave. Moment of silence. For a fart sound effect. Ultimately, no matter what DaCosta had to say, the performance was out of her control. The director. Misogynoir. At the end of the day, DaCosta was hired to do a job, which she did admirably. 87% drop, which I will say I've made the argument from the beginning with her leaving the project is it was supposed to be a 2-year process that became a 3.5-year process. I don't blame her leaving at all. But it is definitely a sign of how much of a show the production was, which led to a terrible movie that led to an 87% drop that you were the director of. What else could she do? The actors were only the actors. The producers were only the producers. What could anyone have done? It's Misogynoir's fault. The Marvel's director, Nia DaCosta, describes critics of woke Marvel as, quote, virulent and violent and racist and sexist and homophobic. And that comes from this Variety article, our favorite publication, Variety. How the Marvel's got its blurred girl energy. Was this the one where they attacked all my nerds for being right about everything? Or is that a different article? And I totally agree. For other young black women who want to be filmmakers, I think it's important to be an example. Stop it. Get some help. And to leave you with one final point that makes all of this make sense. Nia DaCosta writes fan fiction. Honestly, I should have probably just said that. I should have just showed you the numbers and pointed out that she writes fan fiction. Maybe said misogynoir a couple times. Also, she thinks Miss Marvel is an heir to Spider-Man. If you think Miles Morales and Miss Marvel are being used to replace the superheroes people actually like, you're probably just a misogynoirist. And you probably also had an 87% drop. Moment of silence for the Marvels and the MCU. Probably like 20 fart sound effects in right now. Thank you, the Marvels, for getting me to review movies. Tuesday, I'm going to be seeing Napoleon 3 days early. The week after that, Godzilla -1. Sorry. Godzilla. There we go. Godzilla. -1. Minus 87%. I'll be seeing that 2 days early. The week after. And the week after that, I'll be seeing Studio Ghibli's The Boy and the Heron 2 days early. In subtitles. And then I'll probably see that again in dub and do an actual full review. The other 3 reviews will probably just be short ones. Any movies you want to see, good ones such as Gajira and The Boy and the Heron, or really, 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 really bad ones like the Marvels we all want to point and laugh at, let me know down in the comments. You evil misogynoirists. Get access to exclusive videos and become a producer at my Subscribe Star. Links in the description.
Black girl magic.